Windows has become the de facto server platform for back office, and Active Directory is now the authentication service for Windows networks. In fact, we often find an appetite for AD to cover all infrastructure devices. In most organisations, there's business-critical data living on Windows systems, and with Active Directory, it's easy to create accounts that have high privileges across these systems. Privileges that are granted to get something done can inadvertently allow users the ability to access and change this critical data. But at the same time, the highest IT privileges are increasingly outsourced and often held by the least paid. This is why Cerium goes to great efforts to secure accounts, record sessions and manage tasks. Windows is also the OS platform for many applications, and it's often virtualized. This means that networks have many versions of Windows, but not all of them are covered by Active Directory. On top of this, you've got legacy applications that are difficult and expensive to migrate, but as long as people are still using them, they'll still be there and they need to be secured. It's worth remembering that hackers have a never-ending mission to acquire account credentials. The higher the privileges, the better. In fact, at Cerium, we've created a tool which allows you to quickly identify just how many AD users have admin privileges. Not only that, it displays when they last logged on and when their password was last changed. A key goal of Cerium is to reduce the number of domain admin accounts in AD by only giving users the privileges they need, in other words, really implementing the least privileged model. You could think of Cerium as a credential isolator. It's really helpful for keeping workstation and server credentials separate. With Cerium, you get to see the servers that you're authorised to manage, and when you select a server, Cerium does the single sign-on for you. Cerium has three ways of interacting with Windows accounts. The first is password known. This is simply where Cerium knows the password to an account, but it never changes it. Let's have a look at it. Here we have a profile containing a Windows app server, the RDP tool, and a handful of third-party contractors. These contractors need to connect to this server using this specific account in order to use the app. Without Cerium, these contractors would all know the credentials to this account, and to make it worse, it would be extremely difficult to track who accessed the server and what they did. This is where Cerium comes in. You could manually change the password for the account, store it in Cerium as password known, and use a profile like this one to grant the access. None of the contractors need to know the password. It can be safely locked away. Cerium has mapped identities to a shared account, and you now have a full audit trail of who used this account, when, and what they did. To take it one level higher, once Cerium has stored a password, it can be directed to manage it. The account will be added to your scheduled Cerium password refresh cycle, and now the account is being shared, but its password isn't. The refreshing of these passwords on a schedule is pure PCI compliance. The third level is really useful. Here I have a profile with a couple of devices, the RDP tool, and some users. However, in this profile, instead of using accounts, we're using roles. When I add a user to this profile, Cerium connects to all the systems in the profile and creates a personalised account for that user. The account is granted privileges that reflect the role assigned to the device. We can now see that Cerium has made the device available to the user in the Cerium desktop client. Now I double-click the RDP tool. Notice that I'm single signed on, but I can't use this session to jump onto any other Windows boxes. This is a very useful security control. Against hackers, this has a very real benefit. There are no stored hashes on the sysadmin's workstation. The hackers cannot attack what isn't there. Most Windows systems will be covered by Active Directory, but we realise that legacies and mergers mean that most organisations have to deal with multiple ADs. Cerium treats AD as an authentication service. Cerium creates accounts that are secured with group memberships to ensure that they can't be used to bounce around servers, keeping your access clean and under control. Service accounts are the most common excuse for not changing passwords. It can be confusing and the impact is often unknown, but the lack of change represents a huge attack vector. Some of your most important tools like antivirus and backup need to use service accounts. In order to get to all the files, the service accounts need all the privileges. Here's how a Cerium works with these accounts. A Cerium audits all users from its Active Directory authentication services. Once you've provisioned a machine against an authentication service, a Cerium can discover all the services running on that machine. If any of those services use an account that exists in Active Directory, that account is marked as a service account. The password can be updated in Active Directory, and then the services will also be updated. Now the services can deliver, and there's no chance of the accounts being used as a backdoor. A Cerium's Accounts page brings real clarity to which accounts on your domain are being used to log on as a service. If an account has been unexpectedly marked as a service account, you can now investigate whether this is being used in error. To take this one level higher, once the Cerium has discovered those accounts, you can let it manage the passwords. Not only does a Cerium refresh the passwords in Active Directory, it will update them in the service configuration of every system that uses that service. In any reliable Windows deployment, most problems will be caused by users. That's why the help desk exists. A Cerium's task automation is a great part of a first call fix strategy. A Cerium takes all the common Windows operations and it wraps them into tasks. The help desk team don't need to be granted privileges, but they can still get the job done, all audited and with full analytics available. This gives return on investment and lowers the overall cost of ownership. Let's have a look at a task that contains some business logic. Our analytics have shown us that the most common help desk task is domain password reset. In this example, we see a Cerium applying logic to accounts that have been locked out and those that have been disabled. The help desk can unlock an account and reset its password with one simple task, but the same task on a disabled account brings up a referral request. After all, that account was probably disabled for a reason. It's not just delegation, but the quality of delegation. A Cerium has wrapped it all in an easy-to-use form-based UI. So there you have it, a Cerium supporting single sign-on, session recording and task automation from Windows 2000 through to Windows 2012 in standalone, Active Directory and mixed environments. We even support privileged applications like Microsoft SQL. Managing service account passwords is now as easy as choosing your target accounts and scheduling a password refresh task in a Cerium. We'd like to help you build security and efficiency into your systems management, so please get in touch for a free evaluation or reach us through the web.